Herbert Benz and the Flying Tricycle, Caroline Castle, and Peter Weaver. Herbert Benz was very small, even for a mouse, but he didn't care because Herbert Benz was the most clever mouse. He could do double somersaults, read backwards, and sing and play the accordion. But what he liked best was inventing. Herbert Benz was a brilliant inventor. Most animals loved Herbert Benz, but there were three: McTibbety, an old rabbit; Zip, a greedy young rat; and Measly, a mean old weasel who didn't like him at all. They were jealous that one animal could be more talented than all three of them, and whenever they saw Herbert, they would taunt him with a rhyme: Herbert Benz is so horribly small that no one cares for him at all. But Herbert simply made up a rhyme on the spur of the moment and replied, Herbert Benz may be smaller than you, but look what this tiny mouse can do. He goes head over heels, he can play and sing, and best of all, he'll invent anything. The three animals could never think of anything to say in return, and at Herbert's words, they would storm off, stomping their feet and feeling furious that someone so small and unimportant looking could be so smart. One afternoon, Zip, Measly, and McTibbety were sitting in their secret den talking about their favorite subject. That Herbert Benz, said McTibbety, is too small for his boots. Have you heard his latest scheme? Said Zip. No, what? Said the others eagerly. The affairs of Herbert Benz were always of great interest to them. Well, said Zip, lowering his voice to a whisper, he says he's invented a flying tricycle and he's going to test it next Thursday afternoon. A flying tricycle? Roared McTibbety in a furious rabbit voice. Who does he think he is? Of course, the gang had never thought of inventing a flying tricycle themselves. In fact, they rarely thought about anything other than Herbert Benz. Without Herbert Benz to get angry about, their lives would have been quite dull. So they gathered round to think of how Herbert could be fixed for good. The next day, Herbert Benz was in his workshop poring over his plans for the flying tricycle. As he worked, he sang, If birds and bees and top of trees are things you specifically like, if you like breeze around your knees, you'll need Ben's flying trike. Mustn't forget my special starting pen, he muttered to himself. Very important for a smooth takeoff. What he didn't see, however, was a whiskery face at the window. It was McTibbety, and he was writing down every word that Herbert Benz said. Zip and Measly were sitting at Val's waterside restaurant when McTibbety came rushing up. I have here all we need to put that mouse in his place, he cried, and he read aloud from his piece of paper. "Ha!" said Zip, chugging down a whole glass of barley juice in one gulp. "Special pen, huh? Let's steal it. Then won't he look silly when his wonderful tricycle doesn't take off?" And he laughed a ready laugh. The three animals turned to look at the poster that was stuck on an old willow in the middle of the restaurant. Herbert Benz, mouse and inventor, will be demonstrating his spectacular flying tricycle next Thursday afternoon down by the riverside. All welcome. "That's what he thinks," sneered McTibbety. That night, as Herbert Benz slept peacefully, the three animals crept up to his house. Zip and Measley kept watch while McTibbety silently squeezed himself through the workshop window. He looked in Herbert's desk drawer. He looked under the carpet. He looked inside Herbert's box of treasures on a shelf and found nothing. He was just about to give up when he spotted Herbert's jacket hanging up behind the door. He reached inside the pocket and his paws touched something cold and hard. The special pen! That very second, an owl hooted and a cloud crept over the moon. McTibbety began to get the jitters. Quickly, he grabbed the special pen and scrambled out through the tiny window. Back in the den with Zip and Measley, McTibbety danced in excitement. "Think he's clever, that Benz," he chortled. "But some animals are more clever, like me." And he took the special pen from his pocket. Zip and Measley admired McTibbety's good work. At last, Herbert Benz was going to get his comeuppance. The three animals were so excited that they could hardly wait for Thursday to arrive. Whenever they saw some animals reading the poster, they called out with glee, "Be sure to be there, be sure to be there," when a minuscule mouse takes to the air. Thursday afternoon arrived at last. Down by the riverside, the crowd had gathered and a banner was tied between two trees which said, "The animals of Field Edge wish Herbert Benz the best of luck on his maiden voyage." "He'll need it," sneered McTibbety. "We couldn't have picked a better plan," said Zip. "The whole town of Field Edge is here to watch. Make a fool of himself. He won't dare show his little whiskery face in public again." At that moment, the most wonderful machine appeared on the hill. It was a green tricycle with two enormous wings that flapped beautifully, and riding it was Herbert Benz. Zip, Measley, and McTibbety couldn't stop laughing as Herbert reached into his waistcoat pocket. He felt around for a minute, and he pulled out the special pen. "What?" said Zip. "How?" gasped Measley. "It can't be!" cried McTibbety. Herbert looked at the three animals in turn. Then he said in his most sensible voice, "You rabbit, McTibbety, you're deafier than a hare. You didn't think I'd risk your tricks. You see, I got a spare." And with that, he inserted the special pin, and a flying tricycle glided into the air as gracefully as a bird. McTibbety, Zip, and Measley raged and gnashed their teeth. "We'll get him next time," said Measley. "Never fear," agreed Zip. "That's stupid!" screamed McTibbety. But we'll never know what McTibbety said because his voice was drowned by the cheers of the crowd as Herbert Benz, the wings of his tricycle flapping beautifully, disappeared over the top of the trees.